There are several reflections we can draw from the story of Noah and the flood. Obedience and faith. Noah obeyed God's instruction to build an ark at a time when it had never rained on the earth. Not only did he build the ark, but he also gathered all kinds of animals within it. This story teaches us the importance of trusting and obeying God, even when we do not fully understand his plans. Justice and integrity. Noah is described in the Bible as a righteous and upright man in his generation. Even though he lived in a time of great wickedness and corruption, Noah chose to live according to God's principles. This teaches us that we should seek justice and integrity, even in the midst of a society that does not share these values. Punishment and mercy. The story of the flood is a tale of divine punishment for the wickedness and corruption of humanity. However, it is also a story of mercy. God spared Noah and his family and established a covenant with them, promising never to destroy the earth with a flood again. This shows us that while God is a just judge who punishes evil, he is also a God of love and mercy who wishes to save and not destroy. Renewal and hope. Noah's story ends with the dry land and life beginning anew. This can teach us that despite hardships and challenges, there is always room to start over and renew hope. In the end, the story of Noah teaches us that amid life's storms, it is possible to find safety in God. Just like Noah's ark, God can protect us and lead us to a place of security and peace. Once again, allow me to take you on a journey through memory, an era of ancient times and eternal stories, to retell the story of a great hero of faith, Noah. Let's begin our journey on the day Noah was born, the fruit of Lamech, who prophesied that this son would alleviate the suffering of his hands, caused by the land the Lord had cursed. Indeed, Noah, who became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, was a light in a world dominated by evil and corruption. As evil multiplied and humanity indulged in all forms of cruelty and violence, Noah stood out. A righteous and upright man among the people of his time, he did not let himself be seduced by the prevailing chaos. Instead, he chose to walk with God, earning his grace and favor. God, saddened by the depravity that had overtaken the world, decided to wipe out all terrestrial life, both men and animals. But Noah, due to his integrity and faith, was spared. God gave him instructions to build an ark, a monumental task that Noah accepted without hesitation. Following the divine measurements and specifications, he built a wooden sanctuary, protected by tar, which would house a pair from each living creature and enough food for all. Obeying God's word, Noah, along with his wife, his sons, and their wives, entered the ark, accompanied by a pair from each animal species. 7 days after they entered, rain descended upon the earth, initiating the flood that would last 40 days and 40 nights, covering all the mountains and extinguishing all life on earth, except for those aboard the ark. At the end of the flood, God remembered Noah and all the animals in the ark and made the waters recede. Noah then released a raven, which found no resting place, and later a dove, which returned with an olive leaf in its beak, a sign that the land was reappearing. When the land finally dried up, God instructed Noah to exit the ark with his family and all the animals. God then blessed Noah and his sons and established a covenant with them. He promised he would never again destroy all creatures with a flood, and gave Noah and his family the responsibility of repopulating the earth. Noah's story is one of faith, obedience, and perseverance. Amidst corruption and violence, Noah chose to walk with God and was spared from destruction. His story shows us that even in the darkest situations, faith can be the light that guides us. The story of Enoch is, indeed, filled with peculiarities and fascinating details. Here are some highlights. Enoch and antediluvian longevity. In Enoch's time, it is recounted in Genesis that people lived for hundreds of years. Enoch had a son, Methuselah, at the age of 65, but continued to live for another 300 years. Methuselah is famous for having lived 969 years, the longest lifespan recorded in the Bible. Enoch did not experience death. Of all the figures in the Old Testament, only Enoch and the prophet Elijah are described as having been taken by God without experiencing death. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. This distinguishes him as a unique example of devotion and communion with God. Enoch and the Messianic line. Enoch is part of the line leading to Noah and, eventually, to Abraham. From this line came David and, finally, Jesus Christ. Thus, Enoch is part of the genealogical tree that leads to the Messiah, connecting his story with the great narrative of redemption in the Bible. Enoch, the seventh from Adam, in the book of Jude, Enoch is mentioned as the seventh from Adam. The number 7 has symbolic meaning in the Bible, often associated with perfection and completeness, which might highlight Enoch's importance and righteousness. These are just some of the curiosities surrounding the figure of Enoch, a man of unwavering faith whose life offers us profound lessons about walking with God. After embarking on Enoch's journey, the first and most evident lesson we can draw is the importance of walking with God. Walking with God does not only mean believing in His existence or attending church on Sundays. It means making faith a central component of our daily life, in every decision we make, big or small. So, how can you apply this to your daily life? 1. Cultivate a daily relationship with God. Enoch's life was not marked by a spectacular event, but by consistent communion with God. Similarly, we should seek a daily connection with God through prayer, reading the Bible, and meditating on His Word. 2. Live a life of faith. Enoch pleased God through his faith. Thus, instead of living based on fears and uncertainties, we should trust in God and His Word. In practice, this might mean making decisions based on trust in God, even when circumstances seem unfavorable. 3. Be a living testimony. Enoch was known as a man who walked with God. In other words, his faith was visible to those around him. You can apply this in your life by being an example of love, kindness, and integrity, reflecting biblical principles in your daily actions. 4. Stay attuned to God's plans. Enoch was also a prophet, meaning he understood and proclaimed God's plans. Although not all of us are called to be prophets, we can seek to understand God's will in our lives and act accordingly. These are practical lessons that can transform the way we live. Like Enoch, we can have a faith that transcends life and death and brings us ever closer to God. So, shall we take the first steps on this journey today? Remember, every step you take with God is a step towards a more fulfilling and rewarding life.
Before we embark on this fascinating journey, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and above all, share this story with someone you believe will love it. Now, let's dive in. Imagine a heroic figure, not one with shimmering capes or superpowers, but a man with unwavering faith whose life transcended time and space. This is Enoch, our hero of faith, whom the book of Genesis tells us about. Now, you are in the early days of humanity, watching Enoch being born to his father, Jared. Humanity is still in its infancy, with people living for hundreds of years. Enoch, after 65 years, fathered Methuselah and, here's the pivotal point, Enoch walked with God. Visualize that, walking side by side with the Creator. But why Enoch? Why was he chosen to walk with God? Hebrews provides the answer. Because of his unwavering faith, Enoch earned God's approval. Now, picture the years passing by, one after another, each filled with the constant presence of God. Enoch walks, talks, and lives with God for 300 years. And then, in a blink of an eye, God takes him away. Enoch is no longer seen among mortals. Pause and reflect for a moment. Wouldn't it be amazing, like Enoch, to walk so closely with God that you do not experience death? It's a concept that challenges our understanding, but that's what faith can do. Enoch was also a prophet. Jude shows us Enoch predicting the coming of the Lord with thousands of saints to judge humanity. Enoch wasn't just walking with God, he was serving as a divine messenger. In this journey, we've seen 3 key moments in Enoch's life: his walk with God, his translation so he did not see death, and his prophecies of the coming judgment. In these moments, we witness Enoch's faith in action, a faith so immense it caught God's attention. Now, reflect on your own life. What does Enoch's story teach you? How can you walk closer to God, have faith as strong as Enoch's? The answer lies in our journey with Enoch, in the depth of his faith, and in the closeness of his walk with God. And so, our journey comes to an end, but yours is just beginning. Enoch showed the way, now it's up to you. And as you ponder these teachings, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this incredible journey with someone you love. Never forget, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. May we walk with God like Enoch. Until next time.
Hello, welcome to our channel. Today we will delve into the captivating story of a faith hero whose life challenges and inspires us with every read. Enoch. The Bible states that Enoch lived for 365 years, but what's even more intriguing is that he didn't face death like everyone else. He simply walked with God, and was no more, for God took him. Just imagine, his faith and communion with God were so profound that he was taken directly into God's presence. But how was Enoch able to achieve such closeness with God? What made Enoch this special figure? These are questions we will explore. I believe there's much to learn from his story. If you're as excited as I am to find out more about Enoch's life, I have an invitation: subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. And if you think this journey will be as amazing as I believe it will be, give it a like. Now that we've uncovered a bit more about Enoch's life, we are in awe of the exemplary faith of this man, who chose to walk so closely with God that he was taken directly into his presence. What a wonderful lesson for all of us. I hope Enoch's life touched your heart as much as it touched mine. And if it did, I have one last request: share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread Enoch's inspiring story, and perhaps inspire others to seek the same closeness with God. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Stay with us, as there are many more inspiring biblical stories that we will explore together. Until next time.
Have you ever stopped to wonder what the first story of faith in humanity could teach you? Today, you and I will together discover, through the perspective of Abel, the first hero of faith mentioned in the Bible. Abel was a young shepherd, son of Adam and Eve. He was the main character in a story of faith and sacrifice that transcended the centuries. You may be wondering, what does the life of a shepherd have to do with me? I tell you, much more than you imagine. He had a brother, Cain, a tiller of the ground, who was in a constant fraternal duel. At the heart of this conflict was Abel's greatest dilemma. His offering to God was more valued, feeding Cain's envy and anger. But why was Abel, the peaceful shepherd, more valued? Because Abel gave his best, while Cain merely followed protocol. This is the first lesson Abel gives us. The best we have to offer, to God and to the world, are not material goods, but the sincerity and dedication we put into our actions. Because true value lies in our hearts. Repeat with me: the value lies in our hearts. Abel had to face Cain's wrath. He probably tried to appease the situation. Maybe he said, "Cain, what matters is the intention, not the offering." But Cain did not listen to him, and in the end, Abel paid with his life the price of his brother's envy. This traumatic episode was a great injustice. Abel, the righteous, was sacrificed. But even in his death, Abel became a martyr. Because the injustice we suffer does not define us. What defines us is how we respond to it. Abel chose faith, integrity, and love above all else. And this was the greatest lesson he left us. So, I ask you, are you willing to give your best, even if others don't understand? Are you willing to stand up for your principles, even if it costs you dearly? Abel was. And for that, he is our hero. This was Abel's story, a man of faith and principles, who taught us that real value is not in our possessions, but in our hearts. Repeat with me, for the third time: the value lies in our hearts. Now, I ask you, do not forget Abel. Carry his story with you, celebrate the hero he was, and strive to be a hero in your own life, giving your best and defending your principles. And if this story touched your heart, I invite you to share it. Share Abel's story, because stories like his deserve to be told and retold. And so, Abel, even after so many centuries, will continue to live among us. Do you have the courage of Abel? Share your story. Together, we can keep alive the memory of Abel, the first hero of faith. You are the next hero. Start now. The time is now. Here is the place. You are the protagonist of your own faith story. And remember, the value lies in our hearts. Are you listening? Pay attention, for you are about to embark on a journey that dates back thousands of years. A journey to a time when humanity was just beginning, an era of legends, myths, and extraordinary truths. And at the center of this tapestry of stories, there lies Abel, the hero of faith. But before we dive into the narrative, I have a small request. If you're not yet subscribed, click the subscribe button below, activate the bell to receive all our updates, and give a like if you enjoy this journey. Ready? Now, let's get to our story. Abel, you must recognize this name. It appears at the beginning of the book of Genesis. But have you ever wondered why Abel is so important to be remembered to this day? Today, we will unravel the truth behind this character who, at first glance, seems secondary, but carries a vital lesson for all of us. Abel was Cain's brother, both sons of Adam and Eve. Abel was a shepherd of sheep, while Cain was a tiller of the ground. Do you see the difference? Cain worked on the soil, cursed by God, while Abel cared for the sheep, animals that would later become a symbol of Christ himself. And there came a day when both brothers presented their offerings to God. Cain brought the fruit of the ground and Abel the firstborn of his flock. Do you see the difference? Abel gave God the best he had, while Cain only brought part of what he had grown. God, in his infinite wisdom, looked upon Abel and his offering. Abel's faith was so palpable, so vibrant, it almost became visible in his offering. Abel had pure faith, the belief that God deserved the best, and that was exactly what Abel offered him. Because Abel's faith was something new, something revolutionary. But Cain, poor Cain, anger overtook him and envy stained his heart. The face once proud was now fallen, and God, in his mercy, still questioned Cain about the reason for his anger. God was there, giving Cain a second chance. You see, the story of Abel and Cain is a story of choices and consequences. Abel chose to offer the best to God. Cain chose the path of envy and anger. Abel is a hero, not for having accomplished grand feats, but for having lived a life of faith. Remember Abel. Remember the hero of faith who, even after his death, still speaks. Because the truth is that Abel's story is everyone's story. We all have the option to be like Abel or like Cain. The choice is ours. Now, you may ask, how can I be like Abel? How can I have such a deep faith that, even after my death, it can still speak? Here is your answer. Give your best to God. Believe in Him with all your heart. Light your faith so intensely that it can be seen in your actions. Because that's how Abel's faith still speaks to us. It reminds us that God is worthy of our best. So, be like Abel. Be a hero of faith. Start now, today, here. Because Abel's faith still calls us to a life of total commitment to God. And that's something worth following. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, there's always room to be like Abel. So I invite you, live your faith fully. Make it your priority. Be the hero God created you to be. Be like Abel, the hero of faith who still speaks. Remember, Abel's faith still speaks. Let it also speak through you. That's it. And now, are you ready to embrace the challenge? To follow Abel's path? Remember, Abel is a hero of faith, and his story is eternal, for his faith still speaks. Are you ready to let your faith speak too? As we conclude our journey today, I ask that you share this message with others. Allow Abel's story and his faith to reach more people. Remember, Abel's faith still speaks. It is calling you. Shall we answer this call together? Share this message and let's walk together on the journey of faith.
Yes, you there. Have you ever imagined embarking on an epic journey, walking side by side with great heroes? No, we are not talking about comic book superheroes. We are talking about real heroes, heroes of faith. Do you know the strength of faith? It is the assurance of things you hope for, the conviction of things you do not see. It guided the ancients, shaped their history, and left a legacy that still inspires us today. And you are the next chapter of this incredible story. But before we continue, I need to remind you of something important. This content is completely free and has been prepared especially for you. So, if you like our videos, subscribe now to our channel, activate the bell, and leave your like. This helps us continue bringing content that you love. Now, take a deep breath. We are about to embark on this fascinating journey together. You and me. Ready? Then, let's go. First, we meet Abel, who by faith, offered God a more pleasing sacrifice than his brother Cain. He proved that you, like him, can have courage in your actions. Then, we meet Noah. Despite all adversities, by faith, he built an ark to save his family. Do you see yourself in him? You can also be a hero for those you love. Continuing our journey, we have Abraham, who by faith, obeyed God's call and set out for an unknown land. Like Abraham, you too can tread unknown paths, if you believe that something better awaits you. Then, we are inspired by Sarah, who even advanced in age, by faith, conceived a child because she believed in God's faithfulness. Just like her, you too can believe in the impossible. Our journey takes us to Moses, who by faith, paved the way for God's people in the Red Sea, leading them to freedom. You too, like Moses, may be called to lead and liberate. With faith, you can overcome any obstacle. You can move mountains, topple walls like those of Jericho, face lions like Daniel, challenge giants like David, and even bring the dead to life. Why? Because faith is the key that opens the doors of the impossible. You may ask yourself, why me? Why now? Why here? The answer is simple, because you are called to be a hero of faith. Now is the time and here is the place for you to start this journey. You are part of this lineage of heroes of faith, and the journey doesn't end here. There is something better promised for us. Are you ready to become part of this incredible story of overcoming and inspiration? Then, follow in the footsteps of these heroes of faith. You can make a difference. Always remember, when you encounter an obstacle in your path, that you are not alone. You are part of a lineage of heroes who, with faith, overcame adversity. Now, I ask you to share this video. The more people know about this journey, the more powerful the stories of faith will become. Share your faith, share this video, and together, we can make a difference. Are you ready to embark on this journey of faith? Then come, we are waiting for you. The story is just beginning. Are you ready to write the next chapter? Embark on this journey with us. You are the next hero of faith. You are the next great story. You are who we are waiting for. Let's make a difference together. Are you ready?